Duane, we're back. Here we are. So you got 15 years in, 15
Yes, sir.
years of not marriage, 15 years of what?
Recovery.
And, like I was telling you off air, we get a lot of people that talk about us using the word recovered addict, and they don't like the past tense of recovered, and so my question to them is, why can't you be? Why can't things be past tense? Or even more important, and you know about this, if we just live in the present moment, then there is no addiction.
That's very powerful. Yes. What do I need outside of the present moment?
There's nothing.
Absolutely, absolutely nothing.
And in the present moment, we're in communion with God.
Yes.
So guess what happens there? When we are God and we are all God, then in that very moment, we're perfect.
Absolutely.
We're just, yeah. So, for me, and so I kind of wanted to break it down because people are like, oh, that's woo woo bullshit. So I kind of want to do it more in like phases and how that happens to get recovered, if we want to say. I think, like foundational, those first year, and this because you assist and help people on a weekly basis. The first year, like that's where you're trying to break the addiction cycle.
Mm.
And the problem that we have is stabilizing biology. And so we got to stabilize because your body's all fucked up. But then you also have to build initial tools, if that makes sense. What do you like? I want you to kind of go, if you don't mind, like pretend you're sitting across from somebody and they're, 3 months in, 4 months in, 5 months, and they got to try to get to the year. What are some of those initial tools that you share?
Man, this is just such a fantastic avenue to head down. We have an array of tools at our disposal. Really, what we got to start discussing initially is the willingness to try something different and a willingness to try and behave counterintuitive to our conditioned behavior. I liked what you said initially just about the body needing to stabilize. Tool is just understanding. For the past however many years I've been partaking in my addiction, I'm in complete fight or flight all the time.
Yes.
I'm in the sympathetic nervous system. I'm prepared for battle. My hormones are dumping cortisol. I'm existing at a level of stress that just most people, would be burnt to a crisp. And we think that is normal. We think that's a normal feeling to go through the world with anxiety, to go through the world irritable, to go through the world discontent and pissed off because we're not getting our way, seeking control. That's a very normal existence for an addict, alcoholic, anyone suffering from a serious addiction. So it's a good tool to just start to see my biology is all out of whack. This is it's very funny, you start getting these little slivers, these little intimations of a feeling that this is so weird. What's going on here? I'm not feeling aggressive right now. What's happening to me? I've got 3 weeks. Oh man, I got a month. It's like, that's called inner peace. You don't know what the fuck that feels like. So we just start to initially, a great tool is just beginning to observe our emotions. There's a gauntlet. There are countless tools that are available to us. We have to be honest. We have to get serious about trying to be the best version of ourselves. Another important piece of our understanding in regards to the reason we call ourselves Recovered Addict podcast is, at the beginning of Genesis, God ordered the world out of chaos. So when we start to bring in order and structure into our lives, I heard something the other day, bro. I've been hitting it left and right as much as I can. Routine doesn't just help me survive the chaos. Routine helps me shape it. I start shaping my own world with routine and order and discipline. Alcoholics are very undisciplined. Addicts are very undisciplined. We do whatever the fuck we want, whenever the fuck we want, and it's pure chaos, and we're fly by the seat of our pants. So we start bringing in a lot of order. We start bringing in a lot of structure. In that respect, I become my own creator. I start my own reality. And on the flip, on the mastery portion of that, which we'll get to here shortly, that's where we start to articulate, I have recovered that chaos. I've recovered from a hopeless state of mind and body. Bro, We've been doing this so long, every single cell in our body regenerates at least once every 7 years. Now, even our bones, now every single cell in my body has regenerated at least twice since I've been free from addiction, free from alcohol, free from drugs, and I have recovered. My body is completely new. I'm not the same person anymore.
Yeah, and I don't think people realize that, but biologically, I want, because we're going to go in each step, and kind of what happens, almost kind of reverse engineer, especially with you from your 15 years to now. Biological, what we're talking about, I think it's really important to commit to total abstinence.
Absolutely. Yeah. I can't teach you how to do like a little bit of weed, or I can't teach you how to like, let's microdose some mushrooms, but not go to the bar after,
Yes, yes. I
Absolute
think this
abstinence.
requires that.
Absolute abstinence is the only stance that I know how to teach other people because the only stance that ever worked for me.
Yeah, and I think for alcohol, it's really, really important that if you're an
Absolutely.
alcoholic, you have to abstain. There's no, "Oh, I'll just drink a couple beers here," it doesn't work. And number 2 is, and we believe this wholeheartedly, is a nutrient-dense diet. If you
Mm,
want to biologically recover, you've gotta get vitamin D, you've gotta get omega-3s, and tons of protein. You've been living on
absolutely.
carbs as an addict.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sugar and
All
carbs is
sugar.
your friend,
Yep, it's all
but
sugar.
it's a bad friend.
And I don't know why my chin goes from here to here, but I do like my fifth of vodka a night.
Yes, yeah. So omega-3s, proteins, magnesium, vitamin D, just do those. Nutrient-dense diet, full of protein, and then 30 minutes a day of exercise, whether it's walking, whether
So
it's lifting
phenomenal.
weights.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
so
phenomenal.
that's the biological part.
The countless benefits. The weight training, the strength training, the cardio, the whatever I did something hard, it's like
Mhm.
in yourself, it's like a diamond. It's like a diamond was
Yes.
created through a lot of pressure and a lot and
Mhm.
you gotta put yourself through that pressure in order to emerge into something new. But not only that,
Yes.
the biology, some of the biochemistry behind it, I start popping endorphins. I start feeling good about the person I am, about the hard thing I just accomplished.
Mhm.
I didn't have to take a substance in order to feel something good, in order to feel
Yes,
something
yes.
powerful. It's very motivating. This is what I created a whole business around this because it's so productive, it's so powerful. And the
And we
nutrient
did
dense
2 episodes on this.
yes, absolutely. So go back and watch those episodes. The nutrient dense is huge. Average male needs to be consuming 250 grams of protein a day. Bro,
Yeah, you would be shocked how much that is.
how the heck do you eat 250 grams of protein a day and try and maintain a calorie balance or small deficit? The answer is I eat a shitload of protein and not a lot else.
Yeah, exactly, and that will automatically start to stabilize your biologically. Just that alone, internally, you begin to stabilize. I wanna get into the psychological aspect of it. We're gonna say mindful based,
Mhm.
because I have a spiritual side, but the mindful base is just being mindful, understanding what relapse is, being mindful of that, and then, adopting prevention cycles. And then one thing that you did, and I think and we've talked about this a lot, is journal daily to reframe the triggers
Mm.
and adopt, I'm going to use a word that a lot of people don't know, but a high agency identity. High agency is like, and like you have talked about, like, I'm this man and I want to be this man, or woman. But this is what the best of me looks like. I'm high agency.
Yes, a higher self or the best version of
Mhm.
me. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. The introspection is so beautiful. If I have it's very helpful to let these emotions that are kicking my ass live
Mhm.
someplace other than inside my body. So I'm giving myself a chance to kind of detox from
Mhm.
these very, very stressful, anxiety-ridden emotions, fearful emotions,
Mhm.
angry emotions that I'm very used to. I'm giving them somewhere else to live, and that other place to live is on paper.
Yes.
This isn't a keyboard deal. This isn't a text to type in your phone deal. Although those things can be beneficial, for me it was pen meets paper. Something very spiritual
Mhm.
happens when pen meets paper, and then I get to start to look at myself accurately too. Now I have an honest appraisal. Was I'm actually going through. It's not
Yes.
so it's not like trying to navigate muddy water, I kind of get a clear picture of these are the issues. And then what happened for me, Jay, I know we'll jump into the spiritual, but what happened for me was I was taught write the issue, immediately bring in the appropriate power, something like
Mhm.
God, I need your help, or God,
Mhm.
shine your light on this. I didn't know it then, but I was writing my prayers. And what
Mm.
ended up happening over time was I
Mhm.
started building a relationship with a God that I could do business with
Yes, yes.
through writing. It was like God
Now
made a
that's
pen
yes.
pal.
Yeah, 100%. And it's so funny, right here at my desk, here is my journal,
Yes,
and
yes.
then here is my handbook of praying scripture.
That's awesome.
So just what you said, I journal 5, 10, 15 minutes a day, 20 minutes, however long it takes while I'm drinking my coffee. And then I always want to take the word and have it in my life in some way. It always touches me. And so for me, it's Jesus's teachings.
Yeah.
I love the Psalms, or Proverbs or something like that. Those are what I go into. And that leads us into spiritual. Define a higher power or purpose in a 1 sentence statement, like a tweet for you.
Yes.
What is higher power or purpose look like for you? Is it being of service? Is it being
Yes, yes,
is it
yes.
is it having truth? Like I'm gonna live truth. I fucking lived for a decade. I lived, false bullshit. So whatever, but come up with that 1 sentence statement. And then
Super
I think,
powerful.
and I also think what we are just talking about is daily meditation or prayer. And here's the cool part. Prayer is meditation. It's just active. Whether you're doing affirmations, you don't have to sit there and an addict trying to meditate and be an addict, that doesn't work. You're not gonna be able to sit there and be still, but you can walk around and pray.
Yeah, absolutely. Didn't work for me. The sitting cross-legged there is a good approach. A lot of people can do it, but that approach didn't work for me. The meditation
Right.
that I found worked best for me, as you know, is cycling on the bike. I'll
Yes.
put prayer or meditation in my headphones in my ears,
Mhm.
and then I put on beautiful scenery on the television that I happen
Mhm.
in my den, like whatever scenic relaxation videos, and it's beautiful, nature images all around the globe and the natural wonders, blah blah. And then I cycle, and then as I'm listening to my prayer to my mantra, I have my mantra, I have the prayer, I
Yes.
have the meditation. Just like you said, praying is meditating, meditating is praying. For me, they really bleed together. Like I'm doing
Yes.
both at the same time. And some of the mantras that work well for me are that purpose, are that meaning that you discussed. Find a higher power that you can do business with, and then a purpose. What's your purpose? What are you passionate for? What's your calling? What are you called to do? It needs to
Mhm.
light you up on the inside. There needs to be a resonation, it needs to resonate inside of you. If it puts a shit-eating grin on your face, that's a good sign. That's like, "Oh, I'm heading in the right direction here." One of the ones that works very well for me is I expand in infinite love, abundance, and success. I expand in infinite love, abundance, and success, and I hit it over and over and over again. Thank you, God, for this moment. Thank you, God, for this moment. We know
Mm.
the undercurrent of the prayer is
Yes.
God exists in the present moment. I don't wanna
Mhm.
be
Yeah, man.
angry about what happened yesterday. I'm not trying to be fearful about what's going to happen tomorrow. I'm trying to honor the present moment where all
Mm.
power exists. That's the only place I can touch God is in the present moment. Thank
Yes,
you,
yes,
God, for
yes.
this moment. Thank you, God, for this moment. So we start touching genuine power. We start building a
Mhm.
relationship with the thing that's powerful enough to heal our addiction. That's the thing that
Mhm.
pulls us
Mhm.
back from the gates of death. That's the thing that changed my behavior, order, routine. Invite God into that process. It's super powerful. I became a new
Mhm.
person, bro. That's how we become recovered.
Yes, 100%. And I wanna give people in this stage, this 1 year stage real quick, and then we're gonna go to phase 2, but 4 KPIs or key performance indicators, however you wanna say it, 4 things that you could grade yourself off of. Number 1 is 365 days of abstinence. You already fucked yourself if that hasn't happened. So start from 0, start on 1, and I'm gonna go 1 through 365. So that's the first one. Because a year can start, you can start a year anytime. If you commit to this today, you can start your year right now. It doesn't have to wait till January the 1st. And then you need to have 50 plus support group meetings. That's one almost every week. Maybe you're sick 2 weeks, so you don't go, but you either have to have the flu or be really sick. If you don't, you have to make a commitment. If you do not have a flu or you're not super sick where you're going to hurt somebody else, you go to a meeting, period, once a week. And then 80% diet, exercise, adherence. So, you can look at that and be like, fuck, I haven't gone to a meeting in 2 weeks. Well, instantly, you know what I need to do. Or shit, I've gotten off my diet. I need to go back onto this. Because any one of these things, and then number four, of course, is what we just talked about, is prayer, meditation, affirmations, having that spiritual side. So if you're out on any of those four, though one of those four will lead you to falling off the wagon.
Absolutely.
If you stick with those four things, you're gonna do good.
And you could just bracket that and say this is a program of action. If you follow,
Yeah.
if you take these actions, you have a very high likelihood of a successful sobriety.
I like live.
15 years later, it's by the grace of God. My life is bigger than it's ever been, and that was accomplished one day at a time. One day at a time.
Yes, yes.
When shit gets heavy, it's an hour at a time. When shit gets super heavy, it's a minute at a time. The prayers literally next right thing, next right thing. God help me to do the next right thing. God help me do the next right thing. And then that you nailed it with the support group. It's at minimum once a week. You have to be plugged in to a community. You have to be plugged into a support group. What that really sounds like is do not isolate.
Yes, yes.
Us alone and our problems, me, Duane and Duane's mind are not the best playmates. They don't come up with the best ideas.
Right, right.
I need to be plugged into other people that can call me on my shit, but also
Yes.
other people that are going to provide me with wisdom. Wisdom is collective.
That's so good. That's so good.
If I was big enough to get sober by myself, I would have fucking done it. Like
100%. Yeah.
we all need help, and it's totally okay to just start where you're at. Improve that diet and exercise. Shoot for 80%. You just have a high aim. Just head in that direction. We're gonna fuck it up every single day, but at least I have an aim. At least I have a direction. And if that prayer, meditation, building a relationship with higher power, bro. If you do all of those things as a way of life, we say recovered. I have experienced recovery sufficient enough to bring about a personality shift. I'm a different person. Like my personality has literally changed. My wife grew up in the same town, and we actually grew up across the street from each other, going to high school.
Wow.
Bro, we didn't go to the same high school, but we did. Our high schools were right down the street from each other. Santa Fe is a small city. You know what I mean? Like everyone kind of knows everyone. We never met. And I say, thank God, because that's when I did the majority of my drinking. And if I had met her then, she wouldn't want to have anything to do with me. Nobody wanted anything to do with me. I'm a different person. Like she met me at the right time.
That's awesome. Yeah. Let's get into phase two. This is great, bro. Where you're nailing it. So this is years 2 through 5. This is that consolidation, the rewiring of the neural and the psychological patterns, and the solidifying of your purpose and your restoration to functionality in life. So biologically, you're still maintaining abstinence. So that's kicking hopefully you're doing your diet and your exercise. The reason you have to do diet and exercise and why it's so important, I would put it up there super high as far as not relapsing, is because you must normalize dopamine and you have to keep the epigenetics going. And I know you could talk about that.
Yeah, absolutely, man. It's a new form of science. It's fucking, we can literally turn on new cells, new proteins in our genes dependent upon our environment. So the question that arises from that's like, oh my God. And then the epigenetics is actually finding those new cells, those new genes can be passed down
Yes, yes.
from generation to generation, which is absolutely exciting. But
And
the point of, okay, the environment turning on my genes, the question that arises is, what's my environment? What type of environment am I creating? Am I creating a world where I have higher power and I can lean on something bigger than myself? Am I creating a world where I'm prioritizing inner peace and service to others? Am I creating a world where I have a purpose in my life and I'm high functioning? I actually have a job that I show up to. I feel good that I've accomplished my workouts. I feel healthier in my body because I'm nailing my protein goals, my nutrition goals. Is that the environment I'm creating? Or am I creating an environment where I'm terrified because I didn't show up for work? There's empty bottles all around me. I don't know who's at the front door. I'm pretty afraid to answer because it might be the cops, it might be the landlord. I don't fucking know. I don't want an answer. I'm hiding under the sheets. You know what I mean? What environment am I creating? What genes am I turning on? That epigenetics is a fucking superpower right now for us
Mhm.
because we can turn the volume up on healing. We can turn the volume up on getting well and being high functioning. And then you know very well, bro, addicts are the best entrepreneurs there are. Like
Yes. If
take
you
that.
turn that energy,
Yes,
yes.
take that desire, that energy to get loaded and redirect it into
Mm,
recovery. Bro, you're
mm.
unstoppable.
Unstoppable. This is really cool because I think in these years that's happening, from a psychological standpoint, I feel this can sometimes not be it's this victim mindset can still come out years 2 through 5. And what I believe we should be doing, and I know you're gonna agree 100% is what you're talking about, is we need to embrace a creator identity.
Oh yeah,
We're creators now.
absolutely. We well, this is what we've been discussing the entire time. The prompt is very simple. This is what I talk to about the people that I try and help,
Mhm,
especially the clients that I have at the gym. Are you the victim of your life? Are you the
mhm.
creator of your life? That answer is simple for us. It's just tough if I'm serious about getting into and having long-term recovery. If I'm serious about that,
Mhm.
that means I'm also willing to take 100% responsibility for what's going on in my head.
Yes,
It's
yes,
not just my
100%.
life and surroundings and my environment. It's my environment starts here with my head. If I'm willing to take
Mhm.
100% responsibility, that also means we start paying attention to our thoughts, those victim thoughts, those fear thoughts, those if only she was different, I would be okay thoughts. Those are delusion.
Yeah.
That is not reality. I'm playing the victim when I'm lost up here in the itty bitty shitty committee and I'm hoping the whole world was behaved Dwayne's way.
Mhm.
It's just a losing
Yeah.
strategy. A better strategy for us, of course, is self-sacrifice for the future. I'm going to make a sacrificial decision now, which might look
Mm.
like going to a meeting. I'm going to make a
Yes.
sacrificial decision now that might look like take 35 minutes and go to the fucking gym. I'm going to take a
Mhm.
sacrificial decision now and say, take my ass to the grocery store and buy some food on the outer perimeter of the grocery. Buy whole meat,
Mhm.
get some fucking eggs, get some fresh veggies, get nothing frozen, nothing in the middle in a yellow
Mhm.
box. I'm going to take a sacrificial decision now, which is going to
Yeah.
benefit future Dwayne later. We're the only creatures on planet Earth that can do that, Jake. We're the only creatures that can plan for the future and then take action.
Well, we have a creator, and he put in us the ability to
Yes.
create.
Yes.
That's our identity. Your true identity is to be pure creator. And I wanna say this, yes, from a spiritual aspect, in these years, you're gonna forgive past mistakes, truly forgive. You're gonna work on forgiveness because you're gonna be more mature. You're gonna be able to do that. And then and I want you to talk about this, Duane, you're gonna frame addiction as a teacher, not
Ooh,
as you're not a victim anymore. You have a creator identity. So the framing, the reframing, the reprogramming of addiction becomes that addiction, past tense, was a teacher.
absolutely. Bro, so powerful. I know we're throwing a lot at people quickly. Addicts and alcoholics, once they commit to a recovery program and start doing the deal and living this way of life, we are fucking phenomenal at turning,
Yes.
turning absolute shit into gold.
Mhm. Mhm.
We
Yes,
can
yes.
take absolute shit and transmute it into gold. How on earth was all that
Mhm.
hell, all that pain, all that destruction that I experienced as an active alcoholic? How is that today one of my
Mhm.
greatest assets? It's something I
Yes,
do
yes.
not regret. It's something that I do not want to try and turn my back to. I don't regret it. How can I make it useful for me today? Well, it looks
Mm.
like stuff like this. Looks like doing a podcast where we're trying to be of service to other people.
Mhm.
It looks like extending out the hand of help, letting other people know that this life is available for you. Getting better, having improvement, getting healthy and living well is available for you. Jason's done it. I've done it. There's a way out. We can show you a way out. We want you
Yeah,
to
I
do
love
this.
yes, that's so good, bro. I also want people to understand year 3, year 4, now since you're a creator and you're creating, now it's time to take that social community leadership role, and how you do that is to become a sponsor. Talk about helping someone else and how much that's helped you, Duane, by helping other addicts.
It's a very powerful spiritual paradox to say something like, I cannot transmit something I don't have.
Mm-hmm.
So if I want to try and teach somebody spiritual principles, I need to know those spiritual principles myself. So
Yes.
there's an initial self-improvement that takes place, but it doesn't come full circle. It's like, what's the point? Good for you, Duane. You got a lot of knowledge.
Right. Right.
It's
Yes.
like,
Yeah.
what's the fucking point if I'm not sharing that with other people and trying to also enrich their lives? It's like we're so selfish, brother. It's like I say, if I said, Jason, how are you doing? And you said, oh, hey, Duane, good. And you see I'm making a sandwich, and you say, hey, can I have half of your sandwich? And I was like, well, I don't know. Like, I was kind of planning on eating all of it. And that's how selfish we are, bro. That's how addicts behave. But an idea or a principle is not like that. Is I can say, hey, Jay, look at this idea. You and I do this all the time.
Yeah.
Hey, listen to this idea I just heard. I can share an idea with you. You get to keep 100% of the idea, and I get to keep 100% of the idea. We both benefit. And so
Anyways.
again, back to Genesis, bro, 1:1, God created the earth out of chaos. We start creating this powerful relationship where we're of service to other people. I'm creating a world where I'm actually here to help. I show up with the idea, what can I bring to the table rather than what do you have for me? And when I do that, I start to feel good about the man I am. I start to light up on the inside. It feels way better than stealing your wallet and then trying to help you look for it after.
Yes.
I'm embarrassed when I do that kind of shit.
Dude, I love that you went to Genesis 1:1. Something I heard John 1:1, in the New Testament. Said
Yeah,
John 1:1 in
exactly.
the says it says, "In the beginning was the Word," and the word is
The
logos.
word is logos.
The
Yes.
logos is the universal laws.
Mm,
And when you go against them, guess what? They don't care. You go against the universal law, it's gonna smack you back. That's the law. That's how it is. It's a law. If you speed and there's a cop, he can pull you over. It's a law. There's nothing you can do. It's a law. So in the beginning, before there was order, there was the law. And then the law, as the spirit, Genesis 1:3 says the spirit moved upon the water, and then because the earth's without form and void.
yes.
And then through the law, God came in with the Holy Spirit and then brought order.
Yes.
So,
And what's the water? The water is chaos. God ordered the chaos with the law. We start
but you gotta have chaos, bro. You gotta have water to have birth.
absolutely. We need both. We need yin and yang, and it's our job to just thread the line. We want to be on the proper balance of each. However, for addicts, it's just fucking chaos all the time. I've been drowning for a while. That's not a drink. That's a flood.
Yes, yeah, 100%. The last thing I want to talk about in this phase two, before we get into phase three, which is mastery. Phase two, I think, is really important to understand that you need to, when you start looking at, yeah, I'm going to meetings regularly, I have spiritual practices, I'm working out, I'm eating good, took a leadership role, I'm mentoring, someone else. Something that can really help you is at least have 2+ super meaningful restored relationships. At
Mm.
that time, 3 to 5 years, 2 to 3 to 5 years, if you've been consistent and has had that amount of abstinence, you can introduce yourself back into relationships. You've earned the right.
Absolutely. And with the proper guidance, the most important suggestion is that we don't do those type of things alone. We have proper guidance, just like you said, with appropriate mentorship and someone guiding me through this process in regards to restoring these relationships. The healing, the miracle of healing that it takes place is so powerful, bro. Because I get to come to these individuals that I harmed in the past and say, I was wrong. Is there anything I can do to make it right? And then I also get to say, this is me making a commitment to never be that type of man again. And then the deal with that is I actually have to change. I actually have to not be that type of man again. So I have to really go there with a sincere desire to be different. And this is just such a fucking huge, beautiful thing, bro, because from one perspective, I come to them different and they learn to, okay, over time, my actions can rebuild trust. It's very powerful. They're
100%.
getting
Yes.
a much better version of me, right? But this is the alchemy. This is the God starts to fill our hearts. What also takes place is, well, the best version of them gets to step forward also because they don't have to be in flight or fight around me.
Yes. Nice.
They have to be terrified of what Duane is going to do. When's he going to fly off the handle? When's he going to grab a bottle? The best version of them gets to step forward because now they can just exist around me. They don't
Yeah.
have to be afraid. That it's like the heart gets filled up, and actually
Yeah.
our recovery benefits the people closest to us if we give them that opportunity. They start to get better.
I love that. I love that. I want to get into phase 3 here, the mastery part, whether that's if you're a go-getter, that's year 6. If it may take you 10 years, like we're still, you've been free for 15 years. I have food addiction, so I still face that here and there, but it's not, I make my meals, eat my meals, do my thing.
Yeah.
I mean, you've known me for a long time. When I do have something, it's intentional, it's purposeful, and it's a 10.
10.
And I make sure, yeah, I make sure it's a 10. If it's not a 10, I don't eat it. If it's garbage, I'm not gonna eat any of that stuff. But no fast foods, none of that stuff. So what we look at with mastery is this is us living a purpose-driven, high impact life. And it's us
Mm.
that we have integrated all the addictions lessons into our life because it was a big teacher for us. It was one of those big teachers that came along in our life. How we've learned the lessons of those and we're integrating them in what we do daily. Recognize, oop, that's a past thought. Oop, can't
Yeah.
handle that. That's
Yes.
that's an addictive thought. I don't even want to go near that fucker. I want to get into, biological. This is sustained abstinence, like you said, all the cells in your body. So if you are thinking about it, then it's just a thought in your head. It has no power. There's nothing there. Your cells are completely clean. And then health routines for you want to have, it takes a long time, especially if you use drugs. It takes a long time to get a baseline brain function that's healthy. So, drinking tons of water, you drink a lot of water. I drink a lot of water. I've got my big water jug. I got BCAAs here that I put in here,
Right.
for after working out, so we're constantly drinking water. This is what's going to help your brain and your brain's way slower to heal than especially if you did meth or you did a ton of pills.
Yes.
And then, at this level, you're monitoring stress, fatigue. You're getting medical annual checkups. You're getting your blood done, and you're practicing, mindfulness. You're practicing a spiritual practice. This is what I want you to talk about because I think it's so important. A lot of people have a hard time, and this happens. Like I talk to people still, and they still haven't done this, and that's releasing shame.
Mm.
And I put this at the end because I feel like a lot of people are stuck in this. And it takes years and years and years. And I think that's why they say, I'm still recovering, or you could never say that you're recovered because it's the shame of the addiction. Does that make sense, Dwayne? I
Yeah.
still am feeling shame of addiction.
It makes sense. However, I would also just suggest that this is more of a lineage definition. It's kind of the way people are taught to approach recovery. If you are
Yes.
taught you will never recover from this, your addiction is in the parking lot doing push ups waiting for you, which I agree with. Like, if I
Yeah, of
started
course.
drinking today, I know that I'm not going to have one. I'm not really interested. I've
Right.
never been interested in it. But the point is, there may be many reasons people would be, uh, have an issue with our language of recovered addict. I would totally agree that some of the shame surrounding my past behavior would propel me to be very serious about my perception of my disease. Like, I am
Yes. Yes.
alcoholic. I will never be recovered from this. And at a certain point, bro, we're kind of like at semantics. It's kind of like, well, that's the
Yeah.
language you're
Yes.
choosing to use. However, you're not behaving the same way you used to. One of the things that I teach most of the people I work with is pain, and this is not my language. This comes from literature that we just love. Pain is, we've talked about this. We did a podcast on this. Pain is the touchstone to all spiritual growth. And
Mhm.
most people, for many years, I thought touchstone meant like cornerstone, like, oh, I have to be
Mhm.
in pain
Mhm.
to grow spiritually. That's what a touchstone is. And it's like, no, that's not what touchstone is. I actually had to look it up. A touchstone is a tool that was used
Mhm.
by miners doing the gold rush, and they would rub it on other rocks. It was a stone that they would rub on other rocks to see if the rock was gold, to see if it had the color. So pain is the test to all
Mhm.
spiritual growth. Am I behaving the same way or am I doing something different? The way I used to behave was pouring alcohol down my throat and not
Yeah.
showing up for work. What I'm
Right.
doing different now is, how about a little bit of prayer about that? Can I ask God to enter and soften my heart? What am I doing different? Can I go to the gym and take out some stress and anger on the weights? Can I call someone that I trust? Hey, Jay, can I bounce something off you right now? I'm getting my fucking ass kicked. Do I have support? So if I'm taking different action when I'm in pain, I'm recovering. Enough of that behavior leads us into that mastery. I would ideally like that to permeate every area of my life.
Yes, yes, yeah, 100%. I think one of the big things too in this is people, of course, we talked before, so this is somebody that's advanced. They have a purpose, they're driven, they're doing these things, but it's not until we start to develop a clear mission and live a clear mission. You've got to gain clarity in your mission. You've got to know what is your mission? Because it may not be the job that you're at right now. It may be you being maybe an entrepreneur, maybe starting your own business, maybe it's you doing two jobs at the same time. Maybe it's not being in the relationship that maybe you've spiritually outgrown the person that you're with.
Yes.
A lot of people don't have clarity, and you need clarity if you want to continue being recovered.
Absolutely. Yeah. Otherwise, you wander around in the desert. It's Exodus all over. Lost. It's Exodus, man. It's like
Just a
yeah.
whiny.
We got away from the tyrant alcohol, but then we're in the desert. It's like I don't know what I am. I'm wandering around lost. So I have to have clarity, like you said. I have to have high aim. I have to have vision. Moses came down from Sinai with the Decalogue and said, "Be this, do these 10 things," and they became a people. Then they became Israel. They became
Yes, yes,
people.
yes.
They had a high aim. These 10 things. We're going to goof it up every day. We're going to miss the mark.
Right.
But at least I have direction ahead, and be very clear on your mission. Be very clear on your purpose. Be very clear on the thing that lights you up. What do you love doing most? Bro, you and I
Yes, there you go.
have made businesses surrounding what we like doing most. Why would you do that? Why would you want to do? Because that answer is simple. That's when I feel most alive. That's when I'm creating. That's back to Genesis, bro. God told Adam, you name the cattle. You do it. You order the world. You put things in their proper place. We're our own little atoms. We
Yes,
get to create
100%.
our own little world. But without an aim, there's no fucking way I'm gonna do that. I'm
No.
wandering around lost.
Dude, and that's so important. I want, people that have struggled with addiction to understand this. When you get into these levels of year 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, it is time for you to be done with the shame and start looking with the lessons that you've learned at high impact work. Trust me. You're being fearful. You have the ability. If you conquered addiction, you have the ability to do high impact work. You should be making great money. You should be doing something amazing. If it's you just doing construction, start a construction company. Whatever it may be, like you said, whatever lights your passion up, go do it. Maybe you do it part-time, maybe you do it on the weekends. You got plenty of time. You don't need we high impact people like you and I and what we've learned and do, we don't waste time. It's not like we're working. You work your ass off, bro. What time do you get up in the morning?
Right.
Yeah, 3 a.m. You're getting up at 3 a.m. I feel bad now that I get up at 5 a.m. But there's still tons of
No, that's
people
good.
sleeping.
But
Yeah, there's still
you
tons
work
of
you work
people.
you work way later than I work though, so it's
Yeah, yeah, I'll work till 10 or 11 or whatever. Or I'll have my laptop while I'm watching, I'll watch something on YouTube and have my laptop. But I don't want people to
just real quickly, bro,
know
just
that.
piggyback off of what you're saying in regards to the shame, because it is so important. The high impact work helps me transmute that shame into gold. I'm no longer ashamed of that bad behavior in the past because that experience can now help somebody else. I can come to someone hurting, bro. I can come to someone broken and bleeding and say, "Hey, I've been there too. Yeah,
Mhm.
I did that also. Yeah, and I know what it feels like to behave that way. Let me show you the way out, or let me offer you a path that worked."
Yeah, I went to the redwoods, the redwood forest, and I always encourage everybody to go there. And it's so neat to see these huge monster trees that's been around for thousands of years. But they have some that are cut off and they're bigger than they're like 12 feet around, and there's tree rings in there. And I want you to understand that your addiction, your pain, your suffering, the trauma you've experienced, everything, they're just tree rings. That's all they are. It's just showing you the years of what you've gone through. But those tree rings, it was really interesting. The park ranger was talking about this. He goes, that's what creates the stability in the tree. And each of those rings are what it went through that year or multiple years. But the wind, the storms, everything that goes on, it didn't blow the tree down. It just made the tree stronger.
Yes.
It needs
Yes,
that. You'll
exactly
get a
right.
really weak tree if you don't have it. From when it has to have the winds and storms and everything, you know. And yeah, we all may be Jonah and the whale may come, but the whale's the addiction. But what happened? It spit him out. I couldn't even handle him. You know, we're so powerful creators that addiction can't even handle us.
That's right. That's exactly right. And the whale spit Jonah out when he said yes to his
Yeah.
responsibility. Said, "Okay, yes, I'll do this."
Yeah, you think that that bottle is like a whale that's just surrounding you and you're stuck inside of it, but that's bullshit. And then Jonah went right to a mission and he saved the whole town. He saved the whole town of
He
Nineveh.
saved the town of people he hated.
Exactly. He's like a racist that went into a town. It saved everybody. Dude, that's how powerful you are too. They're just tree rings. And so
Yes.
don't have shame over a fucking tree ring. Learn it and understand it. Say, I've gone through more bullshit than most people have. And guess what? That makes me a high impact person and I can do high impact work. I can be successful.
Yes.
I can buy rentals. I can buy stocks. I can buy cryptocurrency. I can work as in a C-suite or I can own multiple businesses like you do. You can do this. I
Yes.
was homeless. Dwayne was on the side of the road with bloody.
Yeah, absolutely, man. That's why we call it Recovered Addict, is because we're nothing we've come so far, bro. We're different people.
I'm not that Jason.
No.
Yeah, that Jason's gone. Well, Dwayne, this has been great. This has been awesome. 45 minutes. We hammered it. So this you're gonna have to listen to like multiple times, guys. 'Cause
Excellent,
we hit you
excellent.
hard.
It's always an honor being with you. Guys, invest in yourself. That's the only person I'm willing to invest in, at least when it's set and getting nasty, you know what I mean? The only person I wanna invest in is me and God.